In this presentation, we're going to talk about how to add value to your commercial investment properties. And it's very technical. So if you guys don't mind, just give me your attention. I know we're going to have more networking time. This is going to be a 30-minute presentation. And it's going to be a lot of information in a small amount of time, but it's going to be highly valuable information. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you are interested in learning how to work smarter by adding value to your property, not by increasing rent and lowering expenses, but by doing things that are outside the box to lower the cap rate and increase the value of your property? Who would like that? Okay, a lot of people do not do things this way. They don't know about this stuff. If you're new to commercial real estate, you've probably never heard 90% of the stuff that we're going to talk about. Okay? And I'm going to start off by just sharing with you some really important stuff. This is a formula that most of you probably already know if you've come here before and you've listened to presentations, where the value of a property is based on the net operating income divided by the cap rate. Okay? What does that mean? That means that when somebody buys a property, they want to get a rate of return on their capital. That's what capitalization rate is, right? They are buying a business that generates income. Now, if that business is a 20-unit apartment building, right? It's a 20-unit apartment building business. But a lot of landlords don't treat their building like a business. Okay? They treat it like a property, and they have tenants, and they don't really treat it like a real business. Okay? When we have a business, what do we do to our business? We name it. Well, how many people name their building? Not many people. But believe it or not, that'll improve the value of your property. Okay, so just as like a simple example, I want you guys to have context. And once I'm done with this presentation, what's going to happen is you're going to be driving around, and then you're going to notice a little garden apartment complex, and you're going to see that they rebranded that garden apartment complex. That somebody just probably recently bought it, and they gave it a brand new name, and that building has its own website, and they have a beautiful, nice sign out that says The Lofts, or The Modern, or The 55, or something like that, and you're going to start paying attention on how people are using some of the things that we're talking about, okay? So when you look at commercial property, we're looking at the net income. Right? That's income, expenses, then we have net, to keep it simple. Now, what we're looking to do is net operating income, get it up. Get it what? So we do that by raising rents, and we do it by decreasing expenses. And that's typical of a, value add opportunity. But what a lot of people don't think about doing is lowering the cap rate. Is what? Lowering the cap rate. So somebody is buying the income on this property. And the safer that income is, the safer the building looks, the more organized the business owner is, and the less that an institutional buyer needs to do, needs to place professional property management there. It's already in place and it's systemized. The more valuable your property is. Okay? So if you have tenants on 1 to 2 year leases, or you have tenants with 10-year leases with 10-year options, is that a big difference, yes or no? Yes, so just keep in mind that net operating income is not created equal. 2 buildings can have $100,000 a year in net operating income, but somebody is willing to buy one with a lower rate of return than another one in the same geographic area because of the way that it's structured, because of the way that it looks, because of some of the amenities of the building, because of the track record and the trends, like low vacancy rate, right? Decreasing expenses, etc. Okay? So in an area where there's a 10% cap rate area, where people are willing to trade $1 million for $100,000, right? They're saying, I'm going to give $1 million for this building, and I'm going to net $100,000. That's a 10% rate of return. right? So that's a 10% cap rate area. In an 8% cap rate area, look, it's 1.25 million. So if we can take a building in a 10% cap rate area, but make the building better and make it 8%, where people are interested in buying that building at 8%, even though a lot of properties are trading at 10, but this one looks safer, it's done right, that adds how much value to that building? $250,000 right there. Are you guys with me? All net operating income is not created equal, meaning all buildings will not trade for the same amount. Now, in residential real estate, the same thing applies. But we don't use cap rate in residential real estate. Isn't it true, guys, that you can have a house that's sitting right here that's 3,000 square feet and a house right next door that's sitting there that's 3,000 square feet, and one has a better realtor, they staged the property, it's cleaned up, they did a better job with the finishes, it's presented properly, the marketing is way better, and that house sells for more money, yes or no? And then another house goes on the market, the description is bad, the showing times are limited, blah, 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 and it sells for a lot less. And it's the same thing, okay? In the sense that they're not created equal, right? Just like realtors aren't created equal, single families are not created equal, well, buildings and net operating income is not created equal, okay? 10% to 8% is a $250,000 gain. So that's where we're starting. And then this is a very, very important note that everybody needs to just ingrain in their brain for commercial real estate. For every dollar in net operating income that you add, okay, that gets multiplied by the cap rate. What does that mean? That when you have a 10% cap rate building and you add $10,000 in net operating income to it, okay, just a 10%, that adds $100,000 in value. Why? Because somebody's willing to trade $100,000 for $10,000. So if you add $10,000, you just added $100,000 in forced appreciation. Does everybody understand this? So your first step in commercial real estate is to add to the net operating income by reducing the expenses and adding more income, okay? Whether that's raising rents, etc., okay? This is the multiplier right here. In a 10% cap rate area, for every dollar, you get $10 back. In a 5% cap rate area, it's 20x. Why? Because for every dollar, somebody's willing to pay $20. For every dollar in net operating income, somebody's willing to pay $20 because $1 is 5%. If somebody's willing to buy a building at a 5% cap rate, they're willing to pay $20 for that $1 that you increased. So every dollar equals $20. Isn't that absurd? Like, a lot of people don't understand this, but it's really, really crazy, okay? There's not many businesses that give you a 20x ROI. And in real estate, you could take a mismanaged building, you could increase the rent, change the tenants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and you can literally add 20x for every dollar that you add. It is unbelievable. There's nothing like it, okay? There's nothing like this business. It's fantastic. So you have to do this business, okay? So the opportunity that most investors miss is that they increase NOI, that's great, but they don't compress the cap rate. Okay, and look at this example right here. $100,000 net operating building. Let's say we don't add any net operating income to it, but we rebrand the building, we do all the things that I'm about to teach you, and then we get somebody to pay 6% cap. The difference is $416,000 in value. $416,000 in value. So number one, step one is what? Increase net operating income. Step two is compress cap rate. Okay, what does that mean? Make the income more predictable and safer for the person buying it. That's what that means. Why do people put their money in the bank and get 3 or 4% in a CD? Why? Because it's safe and what? Predictable. It's low risk. The lower the risk, the better. Yes or no? I bought a building in Ridgewood, New Jersey for $1.9 million. I got all the tenants out in the entire building, repositioned it. I put 2 franchise tenants, both doing 10-year leases with options to renew. They were both franchises with corporate guarantees. Does that change the risk level versus a restaurant with a 90% failure rate? If I just put a regular mom and pop real estate restaurateur that's like, oh man, I just retired and I've always wanted to own a restaurant. I've always wanted to do this. This is my dream, right? And they're like, I want to rent your space. And then I rent it to them. And then somebody's looking at my building and they're like, okay, so how long's the tenant been there? I'm like, they just got here 6 months ago. And they're like, okay, how many other restaurants do they own? And I'm like, no, this is their first one. They're like, they're so excited. How would you feel about that income? And then watch this, Andrew, you go and you have dinner there. And you're like, ugh, this is not gonna last, right? They're not buying it. Are you guys with me? But a franchise, why do people invest in franchises? Because they have what? It starts with an S. Systems, and they have a proven track record. Okay, if you buy a strip mall with a McDonald's in it, okay, and a Dunkin' Donuts, do you feel safe about the income that's coming in? Yes? Are people willing to get a lower cap rate, a lower rate of return on their money because they feel safer? Yes, just like a CD in the bank. So just understand that concept, because a lot of people, a lot of times are like, oh no, all the other properties, all the other strip malls are trading at an 8% cap rate. Yeah, but not the one that has the CVS in it. Okay? Look at it. Just look and you'll see that it's in the same area, but the CVS has a triple net lease, right? And it's got a 20-year lease with options to renew, and people are willing to buy that property at a much higher value, which means they're willing to take a lower rate of return. Okay? That's called commission compression. Okay? On a $100,000 NOI property, each 1% cap rate drop creates more value than the last. What does this mean? Okay? If I drop a cap rate from 10 to 9, I add $111,000 to a building on $100,000 in net operating income, which is not a lot of money. $100,000 in net income, right? 111 grand by dropping it from 10 to 9. From 9 to 8, look, it's $139,000. If I get a building for 6%, but then I change some of the leases, I make it better, I make it cleaner, I systematize it, okay, and I get it to 5%, I added $333,000 in value to that building. $333,000 in value to that building. That's 20%. 20%. Isn't that crazy? How many of you want to make a lot of money, but you want to do it strategically? Because it's hard to make a lot of money, yes? Okay, in commercial real estate, the numbers change. Everything changes in commercial real estate. So scan to get the copy of this presentation. It has a bunch of other slides. So before you go any further, I just want you to scan it, because I want you to study this, and I want you to look at it, and I want you to pay attention, because this is going to be a life changer if you actually use it. Okay? How hard do people work for $333,000? To build, if you could add $333,000 in equity to your, or net worth to your balance sheet, because you just took a building from 6 to 5, what is the value of that for you? What is the value of $300,000 extra? How long did it take you to save $300,000? Are you guys with me? And by the way, when you add value to a building and you don't sell it, you can refinance and take the money out tax-free. Yes or no? Yeah. All right. And I'll put the slide up again at the end, okay? Because I know some of you are slow. And I can empathize, okay? Cap rates. Okay, what drives cap rates? Okay? Number one, predictable income. Everybody say it. Say it nice and loud. Predictable income. Not month-to-month leases. That does not drive, my confidence in your building. Okay? I know some people are like, oh yeah, they've been here for 8 years and now they're just on a month-to-month. We never renewed. Okay. I bought a property in Newark. They were on month-to-month. The guy's been there for 8 years. I'm like, this is very dangerous for you. I literally said that to him. I go, Ruben, this is dangerous. You have your whole business here? He's like, yeah. I go, how are you on a month-to-month lease? This is absurdity. Yes or no? I mean, what if somebody just comes in here and kicks you out? He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I would go. He goes, I don't know. It's very hard to find a place with 11 bays as a mechanic. It's very, very dangerous. It's dangerous for your tenants, so they should want to sign longer-term leases. Yes or no? Okay, if you're a realtor, you get paid on the first lease that you sign. The longer the lease, the more you get paid. Yes or no? Why? Because it's better for the landlord. And guess who else really loves it? The bank. The bank's like, wait, I'm going to give you a 25-year loan, but the rental income is only month to month or 1 year? That doesn't make sense. The banks want to see longer-term leases too. Are you guys with me? Right? They want to have predictable income. Okay, lease structure and tenant quality, of course. Physical upgrades, capital improvements, right, and the class of a building. You could take a C building and make it a B building by improving the building. By improving the building, you could change the class. The class changes the cap rate. The cap rate lowers when the class of building goes up. And guys, it's an inverse relationship, okay? It's an inverse relationship. Where's my slide? It's coming up. All right, next, tenant mix. Don't have all the same tenants because God forbid something happens with that, industry, you're kind of in a situation, okay? Diversification and anchor tenants are best. Expense control, triple net conversion is best. Okay, do property taxes go up or down? Okay, if I have a tenant and they have a lease and their rent is fixed with 3% incremental rent raises in the lease, but my property taxes go up and I have to pay for that in my lease, my net operating income goes down every year. So I don't have predictable income now. Because what are property taxes based off of? How do they come up with your new property tax bill? It's based on their budget. And if they have a higher budget because we had a lot of snow this year, and next year they need more money to pay for things, your property taxes will go up. And when you have a lease, okay, what you want to do is you want to say, okay, your rent is $5,000 a month, okay? Each year it's going to go up X, and your base taxes right now are 30 grand. Anything that goes up, you're paying a prorated amount for the space that you're occupying. If you occupy 3,000 square feet and the building is 10,000 square feet, you're responsible for 30% of the increases. Is that fair? Yes or no? Yes, who's using the building? Me or them? They are. They're using, now watch this. What if they really improve their unit? They improve it. Like they get permits and they improve the unit. What happens to the property taxes? Then they're like, oh, you wanted to put new this? Okay. And let's increase your taxes. And now I'm responsible as the landlord if I have a bad lease. That is not predictable income. That will increase your cap rate, which means bad. Higher cap rate means lower price that you get, okay? Because that means that people want a higher rate of return on their money for your building, meaning they'll give you less money for it, okay? Pro management, okay? You can do it yourself, okay? I manage the properties by myself, technology and, standard operating procedures, any repeatable tasks. If you're responsible for the HVAC and the filters, have a process for that. Have a vendors list. Show people, hey, we have everything on a schedule. Everything is automated. When a tenant has a repair request, they go on our app, they do this, boom, 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 boom. Maybe you can do AppFolio or any of the other million property management softwares that are out there. This will increase somebody's predictability of the income, and you will also have a history of tenant repair requests. When I'm buying a building, I would love to know that. I would love to know, right, because they always leave that out, right, on the expense sheet, how much repairs they did to a property, right? They always leave it out, right? I would love to know the history. And what if the history is really solid? It's really good. Like, I don't get any repair requests. Building is solid. We got new HVAC. We change the filters every whatever. Are you guys with me? It's going to make the property income more predictable, okay? It's safer. Reposition the asset. You could rezone and you could rebrand. Very, very important. So think about that. And guys, use artificial intelligence. Say, hey, I have a building at this address. Okay, here's what I want you to do. I just did this on a commercial property. I want you to pull a directory on X website of all the businesses in town and tell me what is missing. And AI will literally tell you, well, there's no barbecue spot in town. Well, there's no this in town. Well, there's no that in town. There's 14 barbers. You might not want to have a barber. There's 14 of them already in town. Are you guys with me? Okay. And then you say, okay, which ones are the most resistant if industries get disrupted by AI. And it'll tell you, it'll say this one probably, this one, this one, this one, this is why. Okay, as a landlord, you got to think about that. Okay, so you want to think about rezoning, meaning if your use is only used for, like let's say you have a warehouse, right? A lot of people, like it drives me crazy. Realtors will list a property sometimes, guys, and they'll say, okay for commercial use. And I'm like, what kind of commercial use, right? And then they won't actually write in the permitted uses in the zone. You could have a building, guys, that allows daycares, churches, boom, 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 but they don't allow drive-throughs. They don't allow certain things, and they literally say it right in the zoning, and it takes 5 minutes, and it's free to do. It's literally free to do it. So you have to find the zone. When you're buying a building, you have to look at the zoning, and you have to say, what is my clientele? What am I allowed to put here? And then you go to the town, and you go, hey, can I expand this? Is there anything that I can do? Is there any shops in the area that are in this zone, but they're not within these uses? Like, is there anybody else that I can market to do this? And a lot of times there are. Oh, yes, well, we approve this, we approve that, we approve this. Great. So you have a better idea. Landlords don't look at the zoning a lot of times, right? A mom and pop landlord that's been there for a long time, he's had the same pizzeria in his place for a long time, they're retiring, and he's retiring, so he's like, you know what, I'm going to put this sucker up for sale. And that's what's happening a lot. Baby boomers are retiring, yes or no? And a lot of them have businesses, and they're not going to sell their business, they're going to shut it down. Their kids don't want their business. That's basically a job because they have to work in the job. And they don't want to be, in that job. Are you guys following? Right? So a lot of times these properties that are selling, it's a good thing. There's no long-term leases. You can buy them, reposition them, understand what the zoning is, and you can crush it. Okay? You can crush it. My recommendation is go to Franchise Expos, get every single franchise salesperson's contact information, and let them know that you are buying properties in New Jersey. If they have any people that need real estate for the franchise that they sell, let's keep in touch. That's how I get tenants. I just talk to the franchise salespeople. Isn't that crazy? Like the franchise salespeople will be like, yeah, we just sold the territory in the town that you have a building in. Oh, perfect. Let's get them over here if we meet the criteria. And you can actually go shopping. Oh, what do you guys need? What are your specs? Email me your specs. We need 10,000 square feet with at least 6,000 square feet outside of play area for all of our daycares. Yes, we're selling territories in New Jersey. That means that if I find an office building, right, I could rent it to a franchise daycare center, and in their FDD, oh my God, in their franchise disclosure document, it'll say the average rent that they pay is $30 per square foot triple net. So I'll even know what to charge them. It's in the FDD, in the franchise disclosure document, and they'll give it to me. It's all right there because they're required to put it in there. Isn't that crazy? And then you can now position yourself by going shopping for the building that tenant needs. How many of you would love to do something like that? Right? And then you have a 10-year franchise agreement, right? Market perception, narrative and broker relations, right? Obviously you can do PR, we're repositioning this asset, we're rebranding it, we have a new website, we're offering 1 month free, blah, 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 right? Doing your PR. Eliminate risk, legal and admin cleanup, of course. Make sure that the leases are solid. Don't ever buy a building, right, and not have an attorney evaluate your lease. Please, that's crazy, right? Evaluate that lease, okay? I'll give you an example. Okay, so I bought a liquor license a while ago. It was before COVID. Governor Murphy decided, let's go after all the liquor licenses. This was his MO right before he left. And he passed a law saying that if your liquor license isn't active by a certain date, you lose it. I spent $650,000 on this darn liquor license. My friend before COVID was going to open this place up with me. We got it approved as an inn, 6 hotel rooms on the second floor, bar restaurant downstairs. Okay? He bailed on me. He's like, hey, COVID scared the hell out of me. What if it happens again and they shut us down? This is too risky. Okay, fine, whatever. I got stuck with the liquor license. Governor Murphy passes this law. If I don't open up, I'm going to lose $650,000. Okay, so I'm opening up a cocktail bar in Ridgewood, New Jersey. Okay, in my lease, when I sold this building, just being honest, when I sold this building, I sold the building, right? I'm opening up the cocktail bar, so I'm leasing it back to myself. in the lease, I put a clause that if I sell the liquor license, I pay you 3 months rent and I'm out. It's a 20-year lease with an option to renew for another 20 years. But if I sell the liquor license, I pay you $15,000 and I'm out. The attorney didn't catch it. So now he's got a building with a lease, with a clause that if I sell the liquor license, it's $15,000 and he has no tenant. Are you guys with me? That sucks for him, doesn't it? Yeah. Hopefully somebody just buys the bar with the liquor license and they stay there and they keep the lease because obviously it's a decent lease. Okay? And it's all built out and blah, blah, blah. But the point is, you have to read the leases that you're buying. What are you buying? You're buying income. How does that income get derived? Through the lease. If the lease has bad clauses in it for you as the landlord, that's not good. Are you guys with me? I couldn't believe, I just threw it in there. I was like, just throw it in there. If they catch it, and I'll change it. They didn't catch it. I was like, what the hell? And guess why? Because they hired a criminal attorney as their real estate attorney. They didn't hire Annie. Are you with me? They didn't hire Annie. Annie would have been like, what the hell is going on here? You're not buying this building with this clause in it. But it was a criminal attorney. That's like going to an eye doctor for your heart problem. Right? Would you go to the eye doctor and say, hey, I'm having chest palpitations. Can you evaluate my heart? Imagine. That's crazy. But that's what people do. They do that with buying a $3.2 million building. It's absurd. Okay, next. Secure better tenants, right? No month-to-month, have 3 to 5 year leases or longer with automatic renewals. Target national credit tenants or franchises require personal corporate guarantees. A lot of people, they'll do like a 1-year personal guarantee, right? No, leave it on there. No, it's a 5-year lease. I want a 5-year personal guarantee, right? You have a high chance of failing. You know, this income, I'm relying on this income. And if you say, oh yeah, just because you want the tenant, what's going to happen, guys? Now you have a less valuable building because you didn't get that. Prioritize essential services. And when I mean essential services, right, things that are essential no matter what happens, right? Like COVID, there was a lot of stores still open, yes or no? Right? Strengthen lease terms, annual 3% rent escalations already built in. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let me give you this example. So I'd rather give you 6 months free rent, 6 months free rent, or even 1 year free rent. Then number 2, do the tenant improvements for you and lower the rent. Because what a lot of landlords do is, oh, well, I'll give you lower rent. No. Have a higher rent and offer free rent. Why? Because let's say I sign a 10-year lease. I go, I'll give you 1 year free. It's an 11-year lease, 10 years you pay. The first year is free. That's when you build out your space, you do everything. Everybody got it? After that, you're paying full boat. You're paying $70 a square foot. That's how I get higher rents. Because the minute that the 13-month comes, I have great income coming in. And my value of my building in a nice area goes up 20x, Jason, or 15x. Because every dollar in net operating income on a building adds $15 to $20. So I'm not going to give up, doing, oh, well, let's do 3 months and a lower rent. No. I'll give you 6 months. And you might say, well, does the math pan out? Let's think about it. $5,000 a month instead of $6,000 a month. That's a $12,000 difference. Times 15 is how much? $12,000 added to net operating income. What is somebody willing to pay for that in a 6% cap rate area? Do it. 12,000 divided by 6%. Do it on your calculator. Good. $12,000 divided by 6%. $12,000 divided by 6%. $200,000. Okay, how much is the rent for the year? How much is the rent for a year? 12 months. Are you guys with me? I'm not going to give up $200,000 for a 3-month negotiation and free rent. Are you crazy? That doesn't make any sense. You got to know the math. Know the math. Math will make you a millionaire. Okay? Add renewal options. That helps your lease and it helps your tenant. It's good for them too. Stagger expirations. Don't ever rent a lease out, right? And then you rent the other one out and it ends at the same time. No, right? Say, oh, this one's 10 years. Okay, this one's 12 years, right? You don't want it to end at the same time because then in 10 years, if both tenants leave, right, you have a problem. The bank will not renew your loan. They won't. Typically, it's every 5 years you got to give them financials. Okay, better to have more TI or free rent than lowering rent. Okay, remember that. Reduce vacancy rate. Automate rent collection. Enforce late fee policies, report payments to credit bureaus, and maintain 95% occupancy. That will help you. Okay, this is important. This is why I wanted you to scan the slides. I'm going to go through this really quick. I'm not going to go through each one. Okay, these are the things that will make an impact on your cap rate. So all of these things will lower your cap rate, okay? Replacing the month-to-month leases, you'll lower your cap rate by about 0.25 to 0.5% by just doing these items from going to a month-to-month to this. So if I buy a building with month-to-month leases and then I put everybody on 3-year leases, I just added value to the building because there's more predictable income coming in, especially if I built in rent escalations, which that adds even more. Add a national credit tenant to the mix. Boom, you just added more value, okay? So you guys will get all this in the slides. Upgrade the physical asset. We don't really need to spend time on this. It makes sense, right? If you put a new roof, you know, people have more predictable income because they don't need to spend money on the capital improvement and they have a 20-year warranty, right? Physical improvements, cost versus impact. It's all broken down for you by cap rate and cost. Obviously, it depends on the building, right? Optimize tenant mix. These are the risk levels, right? So if you look at a national credit tenant like a Chase, a CVS, a Walgreens, et cetera, on a triple net lease, that's more predictable income, right? Especially if you have the corporate guarantee and you have effect on cap, strong compression, meaning it will really lower it big time. Okay, so that's number one, you know, and then you have the different industries. Food and beverage, look at food and beverage. Restaurant, bakery, that's not a franchise tenant. That's not that great. That'll actually, you know, they're saying neutral. I don't know, if I'm buying a building and there's a fried chicken place in there that just started, I don't know if they're gonna survive. Are you guys with me? I don't know. I have no idea if they're gonna survive or not. I mean, are they good at this? Have they done it? How good is their fried chicken? I don't know, right? Like I gotta try it. And then I'm gonna go to the place across the street and I'm gonna be like, that place is better, right? This place is not better. I don't know if I wanna buy this building. Okay, if I have a lease and it's got no personal guarantee and they're on month to month, if this place goes out of business tomorrow, I have no income coming in, no predictability of income. Are you guys with me? Right? Very important. I literally sold a property, guys, in Newark. Okay, this guy was on a month-to-month lease. I sold the property. Okay, I just renovated the second floor apartment. And then all of a sudden I see that somebody they put it back on the market. They changed the lease terms. They didn't increase the rent. They gave the guy a 5-year lease with not increasing the rent. I was like, this is absurd. This guy hasn't had a rent increase in years. That unit was worth $1,000 more per month, and he couldn't sell the building. He's underwater on the property right now because he messed that up, okay? Prove expense control, predictable operating history, right? The more records you have of your property. It's similar to a car. If I show that I did the oil changes on my car, the maintenance, you know, and I have all the receipts for everything, don't you feel better buying that used vehicle, yes or no? Imagine if somebody pulls out a beautiful organized binder and they're like, look, I'm OCD. Every 3,000 miles on the dot or sooner, I did my oil change. Look at this, maintenance records. I always go to the same place, boom, 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 boom. Everything that the dealer recommended me to do, I would do it. Wouldn't you feel more comfortable? So you're gonna pay more for that. It's the same thing, same exact thing, okay? I'm not gonna go through everything because we don't have a lot of time. Professional management, reposition the asset. There's some resources there for you. Market perception. Have a professional offering memorandum, okay? If you're gonna sell your building, have it organized. Everything on why. If you're a realtor, make sure that you do this, okay? Have demographic data, have traffic counts, plan development nearby, comparable sales at lower cap rates, supporting your cap rate, right? If you're an owner, build relationships with a few of the brokers that are selling properties in town and ask them, how did that sell for a 5% cap? And they're like, you know what? Let me tell you. And then they're gonna give you all the things that they did to compress the commission. Keep an eye on sales, cap rate trends, and local intel. Okay, cap rates change over time. As interest rates change, cap rates change. If the area gets better, cap rates go down, right? Meaning people are willing to pay more in that area. Okay, now with AI and everything changing, guys, you have to be careful, right? Because there's going to be things that are going to be more valuable than other things, and some things are going to basically go away, right? So you have to study this. Eliminate buyer risk. Have a clean phase one. If you're going to sell your property, have that ready, right? That way you're not like in contract for weeks and then they come up with a phase one. You hire a company that you trust. Resolve all open permits or any sort of violations. If it's a property that needs to be registered with the state, get it registered with the state. Do the renewal inspection. A lot of people have it expired, right? And that becomes a problem. If you have rent control in the building. I just got one of our realtors that called me today. She goes, hey, you know, I'm doing this deal. It's a commercial property. You know, it's in this town. We're selling the property and the tenants are supposed to vacate at closing, but they can't vacate. So they're asking my seller to raise the rents on the tenants and they could stay there for 3 more months. I said, how much are they trying to raise the rents? They said $1,000 a month. I said, wait a second, this is rent controlled. It was residential apartments. It was rent controlled. So that was illegal to do that. Are you guys with me? Right? I said, no, you have to put money in escrow and do it like this. And I gave her another strategy on how she could close the deal. Right? But that's important. You have to understand what's going on in that area. Okay? You need to understand so you know how to decontrol apartments. You could buy a property, guys. If somebody voluntarily leaves, you can a lot of times decontrol that apartment, renovate the apartment and bring it up to fair market rent. And then from that fair market rent, you can't raise it more than 3%. So there's so much opportunity. You know how many people are living in $1,500, $1,600 apartments that are $2,600 a month apartments? Do you know what that $1,000 a month value is? It's $100,000 per apartment or more. Or more. So Louisa, I could give a tenant $25,000 to leave. Just pay attention. I can give them $25,000 to leave. And then I could just raise the rent to fair market rent because they voluntarily left. They voluntarily left with a $25,000 carrot. But they left voluntarily. I didn't force them, right? I said, take the money, right? $25,000. But now, if I can give, when's the last time you invested $25,000 and you got $150,000 back? Explain this to me. And you have a 12-unit building. Now, not everybody's going to take the 25, are they? But a lot of these people, they'll take the 25 because they were going to leave anyway. Sometimes they'll take 10 or 5. Are you guys with me? There's so much opportunity out there because people just don't know the math. They don't do the math, right? They don't understand it, okay? So doing all these things together, it will completely change the value of your property. Quick win priority matrix, right? Here's the physical stuff that's going to have a high impact, but it's low cost. Income, what you can do. Financial, what you can do. And in the market, what you can do. Okay? This is your 90-day cap rate compression plan, day 1 through 30, 31 through 60, and 61 through 90. If you own a building, I highly recommend that you follow this. If you have $100,000 in net operating income without changing the net operating income, if we do all these things to attract buyers at a 6% cap, boom, $1.6 million. Okay? It could be a 1031 buyer. 25% of commercial transactions are 1031 buyers that they're trying to avoid paying their capital gains tax on a property that they just sold and they need to buy another property. If they need to buy another property with that money, guess what? They want predictable income. They're just trying to save the money on the taxes, okay? I'm doing a 3-day real estate investor masterclass. If anybody is interested, it is $197 for you and a guest. It is happening at my real estate Signature Realty headquarters, so I only have 40 seats. So I'm only selling 20 tickets because it's you and 1 guest. If anybody's interested, scan this QR code. It's only for people at this event. I'm going to be doing 3 days on flipping and commercial real estate investing. I'm dedicating a whole entire day to everything commercial real estate investing, from finding commercial deals to analyzing them to being able to acquire these properties. And on day 1, we're talking about flipping houses, finding deals. Day 2, we're talking about raising capital, hiring contractors, and really going deep on the investment. So if you're interested in this, it's February 21st, 22nd, no, February 20th, 21st, and 22nd. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, it's 3 days from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Short Hills, New Jersey. So if anybody wants to get a ticket, you only need to buy one, and then you're going to bring a guest. We will text you and ask you to give me the name of the other person, okay? Because you're going to just put your name on the registration, okay? I think she's also passing out some flyers which tell you a little bit more about this. And guys, once the 20 are gone, this, I have a guarantee. If you don't feel like on the first day you got 10 times your money's worth, I'll give you back your money, okay? Because I know that this 3-day seminar is gonna blow you away with real estate education, okay? I love doing these. This is one of my favorite things to do in the world, is teach people how to do this in detail. I never have enough time at events like this, but a 3-day training will really put you on a good path, okay? You also get a bonus, which is a 27-page commercial real estate investing guide, which breaks down exactly what it is that you have to do step by step, okay? So I'll see you there if you're interested, and you guys have those flyers. I'm gonna put up the other scan, like I mentioned, for the PowerPoint, so you guys can download it. Thanks a lot, guys. Keep networking with the vendors for those that are still here, and hopefully we'll see you at the next event. Thank you.